Heartwarming transformation. Grandmother exposes incredible truth after grandson's shocking words. Jake sat in the corner of the room, the steady hum of family chatter washing over him like an unwelcome tide. His parents were in the kitchen, concocting their latest great idea for the town, leaving him feeling more like a ghost than their son. They had ambitions, dreams that sparkled brighter than any star, but Jake felt invisible, overshadowed by their accomplishments. His heart tightened as he thought about the next career step they'd brag about at the dinner table. In a moment of fierce frustration, Jake stormed to his grandmother Agnes's cozy den, eager to escape the noise. A war veteran, she held a treasure trove of stories, yet his usual comfort turned into impatience. "Grandma," he snapped, "your old people talk is boring. Nobody cares about the past." The words slipped out like fire, stinging with youthful indiscretion. Agnes's face fell, the smile crumbling into shock. That night, Jake felt a sliver of remorse, but it quickly drowned beneath his own anxieties. Little did he know, Agnes's heart was reeling. The warmth she'd felt when sharing her stories dimmed into introspection. Did anyone truly care about her past anymore? The town was shifting, much like their family, caught between the rich history Agnes cherished and the relentless pace of progress. Hoping to regain a sense of significance, Agnes organized a community event honoring local veterans. The thought of uniting past and present filled her with hope, but not everyone shared her vision. Harvey, an influential figure in town, scoffed at her plans. "Why celebrate what's irrelevant? We need to focus on moving forward." Her heart raced at the bitter clash, feeling her efforts dismissed. Yet, Agnes pressed on, determined to bridge the gap between her cherished history and her grandson's mindset. As the day of the event approached, tension erupted among attendees. Debates churned, voices rising like storm clouds. Throughout it all, Jake's resentment simmered, echoing the chaos around them. He stood beside his grandmother, feeling every accusing glance as if it were aimed at his heart. With everything unraveling, Agnes's voice strained to carry over the clamor. Then, in a moment that froze time, Agnes stepped forward, her eyes alight with passion as she challenged the crowd. "My sacrifices mattered. I fought so you could have choices." Tears glistened in her eyes, and the room fell silent. With a shaky breath, she revealed a family secret, the weight of her sacrifices coming to light. Those heroics weren't just tales, they were threads woven into Jake's identity. As he absorbed her words, Jake felt the walls he'd built around himself begin to crumble. Caught off guard, his chest tightened with shame, understanding her pain in a new light. The emotions surged, he wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. How had he missed this? As the events swirled with chaos and emotions shifted, Jake realized he stood at a crossroads. Would he finally honor Agnes's legacy and recognize the backbone of resilience in their family, or would he let his struggles blind him? In that charged atmosphere, questions loomed. Was he ready to tear down his walls and embrace the weight of history? Or would he choose the easy path of denial, letting the unspoken rift grow wider? What would he choose when the moment came to honor the past and forge the future? The silence enveloped the room, heavy and expectant. Jake's heart raced, a drumbeat echoing his confusion and guilt. He felt the weight of every eye on him, the collective breath held as Agnes's words hung in the air like a fragile crystal. The truth she shared illuminated the shadows in his own life, but could he really acknowledge it? He glanced at her, the way her hands trembled slightly, the glistening tears poised on her lashes, and for the first time, he saw not just a grandmother, but a warrior. A woman who bore stories of courage and sacrifice that he had brushed aside, thinking them dull. His breath hitched as realization gripped him tight. "Grandma," he finally uttered, the word thick in his throat. The crowd heard the tremor in his voice, leaning in as if they, too, sensed the shift. She met his gaze, hope igniting her expression. This was the moment she'd been waiting for, the bridge she had wanted to build. I didn't mean it," Jake stammered, grappling with the shame that surged within him. "I thought you were just talking about things that don't matter anymore." "You matter to me, Jake," Agnes replied, her voice steady despite her emotions. "What I fought for, it's woven into us. Every story holds meaning. It's about where we came from, so we know where we're going." As he mulled over her words, images flooded his mind: his grandmother at parades, her medals shining under the sun, the pride in her eyes when she spoke of those lost. The idea that he dismissed them as trivial suddenly felt like a cruel betrayal. "I'm sorry," he repeated, the ache in his chest echoing pure remorse. Can you forgive me?" Agnes stepped closer, wiping her tears with a smile that flickered like a candle in the wind. "Forgiveness is a bridge, my dear. And the moment you strive to understand, you're already crossing it." Jake felt a spark of hope light within him. The space he occupied, once swallowed by despair, seemed to expand. Maybe he could honor her legacy, understanding the struggle behind her smile, embracing the rich tapestry of family history pieced together through sacrifices. Around them, the crowd shifted, some whispering, others nodding in shared understanding. They had witnessed this moment, the collision of past and present, and it ignited a discussion. One he had never been a part of and yet longed to join. "Agnes, I want to help. I want to learn." The words flowed out, desperate and raw. "How can we share these stories? Make them matter?" Her eyes brightened as if Jake had given her the very air she needed to breathe. "Let us put together a story circle. Collect veteran stories, have them share their truths." As the idea took root, Jake felt an electrifying rush. He could be part of something greater than himself, something that connected generations. Just then, a voice rang out from the back, a young woman's plea carrying through the room. "What happens if we fail?" Jake turned, doubts creeping in. What if this idea fell flat? What if the rift he feared was too wide? "Then we try again," Agnes said confidently. "That's the power of our history, it teaches us resilience." The warmth of her belief washed over Jake, courage entwining with uncertainty. But deep down, he knew one thing: history had already crafted a path, all he needed to do was step onto it. With renewed purpose, he faced the crowd, ready to embrace the unknown ahead. "Let us honor the past together." But just as he began to rally everyone, a commotion arose outside, something unexpected, the air suddenly changing again. What could it be? The crowd turned as one, curiosity overtaking their previous emotions. Jake felt a gust of energy surge. Was it once again connected to this journey of understanding? The chatter in the room faded as Jake instinctively moved toward the window. His pulse quickened, matching the frantic rhythm outside. The sound of voices raised, laughter, and a sudden burst of joy reached his ears. It wasn't the panic he had expected, it felt alive, vibrant. "What's happening?" he asked, his heart racing with curiosity, the uncertainty of his recent thoughts momentarily forgotten. Agnes, pushing past the crowd, joined him by the window. She squinted at the scene unfolding on the street. "It looks like a parade," she exclaimed, her voice lifting with excitement. The street blossomed with color. People were waving flags, children spun in circles, laughter bubbling over as friends embraced. The authenticity of the moment washed over them, an outpouring of joy, unshackled from the shadows they had just surfaced from. The crowd in the room buzzed with energy. Voices rose in spirited anticipation. A wave of nostalgia swept through Jake. Memories flashed his childhood, long ago parades, the faces of people who cheered, clapped, and celebrated together. But now, enclosed in this room, a weightier realization began to emerge. "See how they're celebrating life?" Agnes said, her eyes reflecting the spectacle outside. "They're honoring what came before them. Just like we seek to do." Jake turned to face her, caught between the vibrant scene and the gravity of the moment they had just shared. "But they have the luxury to celebrate," he said, worries surfacing again. "What if we can't make these stories matter? What if they don't care?" "Everyone cares," Agnes assured him, her hand gently resting on his shoulder. "Each person who stands outside shares a story, a piece of their past woven into the fabric of the community. We just need to show them how those stories connect us." With each word, Jake felt the old tension ease. It felt like he was rediscovering the heartbeat of a family legacy he had strayed from. As he stepped back from the window, he caught sight of Agnes again. The pride in her stance, as she spoke, lit a fire in him. Maybe he didn't have to fear failure, maybe this was the spark they needed. Let us take this energy and turn it into something more, Jake said, the determination in his voice echoing. What if we went outside? Talk to them about their stories instead of waiting for them to come to us? Agnes's smile was radiant, brighter than any metals resting in the shadows. Yes. Let us invite them to share with us. Offer them a chance to voice their truths, to connect. With resolution igniting within him, Jake moved toward the exit. The room, once a fortress of hesitation, now felt like a launching pad. He reached for the door, glancing back at the gathered crowd. Let us do this together. The past and the future, all in one moment. As they stepped into the sunlight, the joyful noise enveloped them. Jake's heart raced, not from fear, but from anticipation. But just before he could call out to the others, he spotted someone in the crowd, a figure standing still, watching intently, face shadowed. Something about their presence sent a chill down his spine. Was it someone he knew? Someone connected to Agnes's past? His throat tightened, words faltering. Who were they, and what role did they play in the narrative he was desperate to weave? The crowd swirled around him, vibrant and alive, while the stranger stared unwaveringly. Jake's breath caught, the thrill of transformation now tinged with uncertainty. Was this a sign? A warning? He stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever the future held, but would he be swallowed by the truth lurking just beyond the throng? Jake took a deep breath, the noise of the town square pounding in his ears, but all he could focus on was that figure. The bright colors of the parade blurred around him as he fixated on the shadowed presence. His heart raced, emotions swirling within him like a tempest. Agnes, wait, he called out. She turned back, concern shadowing her features. What is it? She asked, her vibrant excitement dimmed slightly. Do you see that person? Jake gestured subtly, trying not to attract too much attention. The figure stood apart from the joyful scene, a stark contrast against the jubilant crowd. Their hood masked their face, but the way they stood there, so intent and still, made Jake uneasy. Agnes squinted, her brows furrowing. No, I don't. I think I know them, he interrupted. Or, at least, I think I might have seen them before. A flicker of recognition crossed Agnes's face. You think they're connected to our project? Jake nodded, a knot forming in his stomach. It might be more than that. It feels personal. What if they have a story to share? Agnes stepped closer, her voice low, urging him forward. It struck Jake that she wasn't merely looking for an adventure, she genuinely wanted to help him confront whatever haunted him. What if it's not just a story? What if it's something deeper? Jake replied, unease washing over him. You won't know unless you talk to them, Agnes said, her encouragement steadying him. Facing this truth felt monumental, and that was what scared him. Would this person hold the key to his memories? Resolute now, Jake nodded, taking a step toward the stranger. Let us see what they have to say. As he approached, the crowd seemed to fade into a distant hum, leaving only the rhythm of his heartbeat in his ears. The stranger's eyes glimmered beneath the shadow of their hood, locking onto Jake's with an intensity that was both alarming and familiar. Can I help you? The figure asked, voice low and gravelly, but there was an unmistakable warmth underneath. The way they spoke tugged at something deep within Jake, an echo from the past. You look familiar, Jake stammered, suddenly feeling exposed. The figure hesitated, then pushed back the hood, revealing a weathered face marked with age but softened by kindness. Time has a way of weaving connections, doesn't it? Their smile was enigmatic, yet instantly grounding. Jake's breath hitched. Who are you? I am someone who knows where the stories begin, the stranger replied, eyes glistening with secrets. But first, I need to know why you seek them. I want to honor my family, Jake said, vulnerable yet determined. To connect with our past and share those stories so no one feels alone. There was a pause, the crowd still living and vibrant around them, but in this moment, it felt like an intimate cocoon. The figure's gaze softened, and Jake felt every ounce of doubt begin to crumble. The stories you seek are far richer than you can imagine. They don't only shape you, they define your place here, and who you will become, the figure said gently. At that moment, Jake's heart raced not from fear but from a surge of hope. What more could they reveal? What truths had been hidden away? His thoughts darted around, ignited by anticipation. What do you mean? Jake pressed, leaning in. The stranger took a deep breath, as if readying for a momentous revelation. You may not be ready for what I have to say, but it might change everything for you. Jake felt the world around him narrow into sharp focus, excitement rippling along his spine. Had he stumbled onto a life-altering truth, one that could tie together generations of stories and memories? But why did it suddenly feel like he was standing at the precipice of something more? As he waited for the stranger's words, tension coiled in the air around him. Would he be left in the dark, or would this lead him to something deeper than he ever thought possible? The excitement mingled with dread, and he knew, whatever the truth was, it had the power to transform everything. Would he find the answers he needed, or would this encounter uncover hidden struggles he wasn't ready to face? The stranger's lips curled into a knowing smile as he studied Jake's eager face. Let me tell you about your grandmother, he began, his voice calm and steady, weaving a spell that pulled Jake deeper into his own past. She often spoke of family, of legacies and stories that can't just be forgotten. Do you understand what that means? Jake leaned in closer, the noise of the parade fading to a mere whisper. What did she say? Tell me. The figure took a moment, searching Jake's eyes as if seeking permission to tread into the waters of history long submerged. Your grandmother held secrets, Jake. Secrets rooted in love and sacrifice. She wanted you to know that your lineage is woven with more than just names. It's been touched by resilience, courage, and heartache. Heartache. The word struck Jake like a cold wave, but it was followed by warmth. What kind of heartache? He demanded, urgency spilling into his voice. The crowd around them continued to laugh and dance, blissfully unaware of the life-altering conversation taking place just a few feet away. The kind that can break you, or build you anew, the aged figure said softly. Your grandmother faced many trials, the loss of loved ones, the weight of choices that could alter destinies. Yet, through it all, she found ways to share her spirit with you, to instill hope. Jake's breathing quickened, the pulse of revelation echoing within him. I didn't know, I felt there was something deeper, but the stranger nodded knowingly. You've started a journey, now it needs direction. The stories she left behind are not just to be told, they need to be lived. It's a call to embrace who you are and where you come from. As if a fog had lifted, Jake could almost visualize the tapestry of his family gripping tight within the fabric of time. His heart swelled with emotion, memories of his grandmother's warm hugs and stories shared over cookies rushing back to him. Will I be able to keep that legacy alive? Can I honor her in the way she deserves? Yes, replied the stranger, his eyes gleaming. But to truly honor her, you must confront what weighs on your heart. Sometimes, the hardest truths will surface first. Jake hesitated, a lump forming in his throat. What if those truths hurt more than they heal? The figure smiled gently, understanding the fear that lay unspoken. Pain is part of the healing. It won't be easy, but every step you take frees you from the chains of silence and loneliness. Your grandmother's stories deserve a voice, and you are that voice. Unexpected tears prickled at the corners of Jake's eyes. I want to be strong enough for this. I don't want to let her down. The strength you seek has always been within you. You just haven't discovered it yet. This moment, Jake, could be the key, her key, your key to unlocking everything you need to move forward, the stranger said, the warmth of his words lying heavy in the space between them. Jake took a deep breath, the weight of anticipation pushing him toward an awakening. What should I do next? Gather the pieces of your family's story. Seek out those who remember, the figure instructed, pausing to let the question linger in the air. But first, talk to your mother. She holds the key to truths she might keep hidden. Shock coursed through him. His mother had always been tight-lipped about the past, perhaps to protect him. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You will be, the stranger assured him, placing a hand on his shoulder, solid and reassuring. Sometimes, facing your fears leads to the most profound transformations. Jake felt a flood of emotions: nervousness, excitement, yet a sense of determination ignited within him. He was already crafting his own story with threads interlaced from those who came before him. Would he find the courage to speak with his mother? As the parade erupted in a burst of laughter and music around them, Jake's heart echoed with new possibilities. The figure began to fade into the crowd as Jake spoke the words barely above a whisper, "Thank you. I think I understand. Your journey is just beginning, Jake." "Embrace it," the stranger replied, before dissolving entirely into the vibrant throng of celebration. With a pounding heart, Jake looked towards Agnes, who was watching him closely, a blend of worry and curiosity on her face. He felt ready to take the leap. "Jake!" Agnes called. "What happened?" He turned, breath trembling with anticipation. "I think I'm finally ready to uncover the truth." But as the truth loomed, he couldn't shake the chill of anxiety wrapping around him. Would he be prepared for what he might find? Jake felt his heart race as he looked into Agnes's concerned eyes. For a moment, the noise of the parade around them felt distant, replaced by the pounding of uncertainty in his chest. He had spoken the words, but now they felt more daunting than ever. How would his mother react? What if her truths were too heavy to bear? "Are you okay?" "You look different," Agnes said, stepping closer. The concern she wore was palpable, almost like a protective shield ready to envelop him. "Different? I guess I feel a lot right now. I met someone who told me about Grandma. About her past. It's like everything I thought I knew just crumbled." Agnes furrowed her brow, the vibrant colors of the parade reflecting in her worried expression. "I didn't know she had a complicated past. I mean, she was always so warm and loving." "That's just it. I thought the same," he replied, his voice trembling. "But it turns out there are things hidden beneath that warmth. Things about family, love, loss, all of it. It's so much bigger than I imagined." The sound of laughter all around him began to mix with his growing anxiety, a stark contrast to the emotional storm brewing inside. He could almost hear the whispers of the past calling him, urging him to unravel the mysteries. "I think I need to talk to my mom," Jake said suddenly. "She might know more about Grandma. I have to understand the stories. I need to know the truths no matter how hard they may be." Agnes nodded, her gaze reassuring yet tinged with apprehension. "Are you ready for that? You could open old wounds." Jake took a deep breath as the colors of the parade flashed in the corner of his eye. He was ready, even if every part of him screamed in doubt. "If I don't do this, I'll never really know her. I want to honor Grandma, but also I think I need to liberate my own heart." Before Agnes could respond, he felt a strange pull in his gut, reminding him of the stranger's words. This was the moment he was meant to embrace. It wasn't just about Grandma anymore, it was about him, too. "Let us go talk to her." "Right now," Jake said, determination surging through him. "Okay, but how do you think she'll react?" Agnes asked, her voice filled with concern. Jake squared his shoulders. "I don't know. But I have to try. If there's even a chance that I could connect with all that she went through, that she's still a part of me, I can't ignore it." They weaved their way through the crowd, the festive atmosphere slowly shifting back into focus, the bright colors, the sound of music, and laughter. But for Jake, it felt as if he was stepping into a new world, one filled with unknowns and potential heartbreak. As they reached his childhood home, the familiar sight of the door loomed large before him, almost ominous. He hesitated, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through him: fear, hope, and a touch of excitement. "Here goes nothing," he whispered, raising a hesitant hand to knock. Agnes stood by him, silently offering her strength. He knocked twice, the sound echoing in the stillness that followed. The door creaked open, revealing his mother's familiar face, mask of surprise painted across her features. "Jake?" she said cautiously, her eyes darting between him and Agnes. "What is going on?" Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything resting on this moment. "Mom, I need to talk to you about Grandma." Her expression shifted, concern etched deep into her brow. "It's important, isn't it?" "Yeah. I think it is. I need to know the truth. As he spoke, he could feel the air thickening, their space buzzing with unasked questions and unraveling secrets. Would this be the moment that changed everything? But before he could delve deeper, a shadow crossed his mother's face, and Jake could see her resolve wavering. What truth might emerge from this conversation? It was a risk worth taking. But could he unlock the door to the stories that had remained silent for too long? His mother's gaze held a world of emotions, swirling beneath the surface like a storm. She stepped back, allowing Jake and Agnes to enter, but the door remained ajar, as if it too were holding its breath. "Come in," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The air inside felt different, thicker, tinged with past memories hastily buried. Jake glanced at Agnes, her eyes wide, silently urging him to go on. He stepped further, feeling the warmth of the familiar home wrap around him like an old blanket, contrasting sharply with the chill of dread creeping up his spine. His mother closed the door with a soft click, and in that moment, Jake felt more than ever the enormity of what he was about to ask. "Mom," he started, the words tumbling out like marbles, scattering about the room. "I met someone who told me about Grandma. About her life before everything we know." He saw his mother's expression crumple, as if struck by a sudden wave of realization. "I thought you knew everything," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "And I thought I did too," Jake continued, holding her gaze. "But I think there's so much more. I need you to tell me, please, what happened? What's the truth about her?" His mother looked away, her eyes flickering towards an old family photo hanging on the wall, its edges worn and frayed so much like the tales it held. "Some stories are painful, Jake. They don't just go away. They linger. They can hurt us if we aren't prepared." He swallowed hard, the weight of his heart growing heavier. "But I want to be prepared. I have to know." After a deep breath, his mother nodded. "Okay. But promise me you won't judge her. She loved you and she tried her best to shield you from her past." "I promise," he said quickly, desperation seeping into his tone. He needed to know this. She motioned for them to sit down at the small kitchen table, the centerpiece still adorned with a faded tablecloth from his childhood, a mix of blues and yellows that sparked memories of family dinners and laughter. "A long time ago, before you were born, your grandmother lived in a very different world," she started, her voice steady yet laced with sadness. "She faced things I'm not proud of. There were choices she had to make. It wasn't the life you think it was." Jake leaned forward, tingling with anticipation. Each word from his mother felt like a stepping stone into the depths of a story he had only scratched the surface of. She left home young, searching for a life she thought would be better. But she carried the weight of her family with her, always longing to belong. There were loves, certainly, but there were losses too, heartbreaks that forged her in ways I can only now see. The room fell silent, tension filling the air between them. Jake's heart raced, every beat echoing the revelations swirling in his mind. What did she sacrifice, Mom? What did she give up for us? His mother inhaled deeply, the kind of breath that holds so much more than air. Everything. And in her quest to protect you, she hid the truth. Maybe even from herself. She thought she could build a life with glittering moments, but shadows of her past still lingered. They always do. Jake's thoughts raced, piecing together the fragments of his grandmother he had known and the stranger his mother described. But the weight of it all, the complexities, the loss, was something he hadn't been prepared to encounter. "What do you mean, shadows?" He pressed further, fear mixing with fascination. His mother met his gaze, and for the first time, she looked vulnerable. "I think it's time we faced them, Jake. I've held back out of love, but perhaps it's time to let those shadows speak. You deserve the full truth, just like she did." Her words hung in the air, heavy with promise and uncertainty. Jake felt the air shift around him as a single thought settled in his mind. This wasn't just about piecing together a family history. It was about healing wounds that had been wrapped tightly for far too long. "Are you sure you're ready?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly. Jake opened his mouth to answer, but suddenly, the enormity of what lay ahead washed over him all at once. Would he really be ready to uncover those shadows? His heart raced as he thought of all the hidden stories waiting to be told. "Let us find out together," he said at last, steeling himself for whatever might come next. As his mother took a deep breath and began to share, Jake realized they were about to unlock a truth that would change everything. What new secrets would unfold? What new truths awaited discovery, hidden like jewels in the darkness? Jake felt a tremor in the air as his mother prepared to dive into the depths of their family's past. With her voice steadying, she began, "Your grandmother faced constant battles, both within and outside herself. After she left home, she found herself in a world that didn't always welcome her. She made choices that wouldn't exactly be found in fairy tales." His pulse quickened as he envisioned the younger version of the woman he had loved only through stories. What kind of battles? She struggled with identity, Jake. She was torn between who she was meant to be and who society expected her to be. There were whispers behind her back, doubts that echoed in her mind as she spoke. The warmth of nostalgia turned into a chilly reality. Jake envisioned his grandmother as a young woman, hopeful yet terrified. The image brought tears to his eyes. Was she alone in this? Yes, and no. His mother scratched her cheek, lost in thought for a moment. There were men who loved her, truly. But those relationships often shattered under the weight of expectations. I think she feared love would always lead to heartache. Jake watched agonizing traces of pain flicker across her face. Did she ever find happiness? His mother hesitated, the weight of the question hanging heavily between them. She thought she did, for a time. But happiness can be fleeting when weighed against the shadows of the past. There were decisions that haunted her, grief that wrapped around her like a shroud. What kind of decisions? The questions poured from him like rain, desperate to uncover the roots of their family's trauma. She had to leave people behind, his mother said finally, her voice cracking. Close friends, even her own dreams. She thought that by building a new life far away, she could outrun her history. But it never truly left her. Jake's heart ached. Generational pain that was just now surfacing. Why didn't she tell me? Why didn't you? Because she wanted to protect you. We both did. We thought keeping those stories at bay would help you have a better life, one free of the burdens that haunted us. But the less we know, the more power those shadows hold. Jake's voice trailed off as realization flooded him. The truth didn't seem like a burden anymore. It felt like a lifeline, a way to bridge the gaps of understanding between past and present. His mother nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. If we don't confront her past, we risk repeating it. There's no healing without acknowledgement. Jake took a deep breath, feeling his own resolve begin to solidify. So what do we do now? Now, she said, her voice barely stronger than a whisper, we find out exactly what she ran from. We dig deeper into her life, her decisions, and the love she let slip through her fingers. We can honor her by bringing these stories into the light. The words ignited something in him. Together, they would reshape their family narrative, not as a tale of sorrow, but as one of resilience and survival. The shadows were daunting, but now they held a glimmer of hope. Can we start tonight? He asked, a quiet determination fueling his question. His mother smiled softly, perhaps a combination of anxiety and hope. Yes, but it wouldn't be easy. As they settled into the deeper conversation, Jake felt a flicker of light in the darkness that had consumed so much of their family's history. A moment of possibility emerged, setting a new course, but just as she was about to reveal another layer of truth, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway interrupted them. The familiar rumble echoed through the home, generating an instinctive tension. Who's that? Jake asked, glancing toward the window. His mother's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and recognition painting her features. It can't be, it's too soon. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he turned to face her, the weight of uncertainty crashing over him. Who could it be that threatened to disrupt their fragile moment? Mom, what aren't you telling me? He pressed, sensing that what lay ahead was about to shatter everything they had just begun to piece together. His mother breathed in sharply. The tension in the air seemed to thicken, wrapping around them both like a heavy blanket. Jake's mind raced, piecing together the clues from earlier. Whoever was at the door might hold answers, but they could just as easily bring more turmoil. They shouldn't be here, she murmured, almost to herself. Jake caught the flash of worry in her eyes and felt his own pulse quicken. Before he could respond, she was up and moving towards the door. Wait! Jake called after her, his voice louder than intended, laced with urgency. What do you mean, they shouldn't be here? His mother paused, her back to him, shoulders tense. It's complicated, Jake, she finally said. They're part of the story, part of the things we've been trying to keep away from you. Jake took a steadying breath, the answer looming heavy but unspoken. Whatever it is, I can handle it. We can handle it together. After a long moment, she turned, her expression softening. You're right. She stepped back from the door, and it clicked open without her further prompting. The hinges creaked, and there stood a figure Jake recognized too well, his grandmother's old friend, Evelyn. Her gray hair contrasted sharply with the bright pink of her cardigan, and her expression was a tapestry of concern and determination. Behind her, another figure emerged, a tall man with broad shoulders and a face marked by time and sorrow. Evelyn, his mother greeted, voice trembling. What are you doing here? Without waiting for the pleasantries, Evelyn's gaze shot straight to Jake. We need to talk, Jake. There are things about your grandmother, things she wanted you to know before it was too late. What do you mean? Jake felt a sharp jab of anxiety. His earlier resolve clashed against a wave of new fears as he looked between the two adults. What is going on? Your grandmother had her reasons for keeping her past a secret, the man said, his voice gruff but filled with an underlying gentleness. But there are truths that need to be uncovered, especially now. Jake's heart raced. He exchanged a glance with his mother, who stood frozen. A flood of questions swirled through his mind. Was this the confrontation they had been preparing for, or had it arrived too soon? Evelyn stepped closer, her eyes widening with frantic energy. We can't let another generation carry the weight of unspoken grief, Jake. Your grandmother's choices were born from love, but they also came with consequences she never shared. He felt a rush of emotions: curiosity, dread, anticipation. He realized the journey to understanding his grandmother's life would be more convoluted than he had imagined. What kind of love? He asked, the words leaving his lips before he could fully digest the implications. The kind that could change everything you think you know about her and about yourself, Evelyn replied. Jake swallowed hard. Outside, a breeze rustled the trees, a stark reminder of the peace that felt so far away. Are you ready? His mother asked, her voice unexpectedly steadier now. Because if we're diving deep, there may be no turning back. Jake took a deep breath, steeling himself. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the invitation to change the narrative of their family. I'm ready. Let us hear it. Just then, a gust of wind shook the door, causing it to swing wider. The daylight streamed into the room, illuminating their circle. Shadows danced against the walls, representing a history yet to be uncovered. With a steady heart, Jake stepped forward, heart beating wildly in his chest. What would this conversation reveal? What would he learn about his grandmother that might reshape their entire understanding of family? As he looked into Evelyn's eyes, a sense of destiny tinged the air. The question loomed, would they find the healing they sought or discover more than they bargained for? Evelyn wasted no time. The urgency in her voice pushed the conversation forward. Jake, your grandmother loved fiercely, but it came at a price. Secrets became her armor, shielding not only her heart but yours as well. Jake felt warmth tighten around his chest. What secrets? His voice was barely above a whisper. He glanced at his mother, who stood wide-eyed, a single tear rolling down her cheek. In that moment, they all shared the weight of what was about to be revealed. Evelyn took a deep breath, then spoke carefully. When Agnes enlisted, she believed she was fighting for a better future for you and your mother, a chance to escape the ghosts of the past. But those ghosts included lost friendships, heart-wrenching goodbyes, and dreams that brought her to the brink of despair. What do you mean? Jake pressed, desperation coloring his words. His heart raced in hopeful anticipation. After the war, she didn't just return home. She found it harder to adjust than anyone could have imagined. There were relationships left behind, people she never got the chance to say goodbye to, ones she held close, loved fiercely, and lost irrevocably. Evelyn's voice trembled. Your grandmother believed protecting you meant burying all of that pain. Jake's thoughts swirled. So why didn't she tell us? If she felt so much, how could she keep it hidden? Evelyn met his gaze. Because facing it would mean acknowledging her vulnerabilities. She thought she became a burden instead of the source of strength she intended to be. Jake's chest tightened. He understood now how his grandmother's silence had cast long shadows over their family. What can we do? His mother stepped forward, passion ignited in her eyes. We can remember her as she was flawed, beautifully human, and share her truth. Not to glorify the pain but to heal it. Jake nodded, feeling a shift of resolve. We can take her story to the community, he said, each word firm with purpose. Let us honor her story and the lives of those she lost. Together, we can shed light on the shadows. Evelyn smiled softly, pride in her eyes. That's what she wanted. To transform her pain into a legacy of strength. But just as hope filled the room, a familiar voice rang through the door. Jake felt his heart drop. Is everything okay in here? I thought I heard voices. His mother and Evelyn exchanged glances. Jake, his mother whispered, that's just your Aunt Laura. Before they could react, Jake's aunt walked in, clutching a small box tightly. I found something in Grandma's attic today. I thought maybe you'd like to have it. She hesitated, eyes misty. Jake opened the box, revealing old letters, photographs, and medals. They spilled out like a river of history. Agnes appeared in every photo, young and smiling, her joy spilling out in waves. Some of these letters were to her friends, Laura said, wiping tears away. They detail moments of love and loss, even the ones she buried deep. Each letter Jake opened revealed snippets of his grandmother's life. Stories of laughter, whispers of pain, and the unyielding spirit that had shaped her character. As he read, he felt pieces of himself connect to the woman who once felt like a distant memory. His heart swelled with gratitude. This is it, he breathed, eyes shimmering with tears of revelation. With everyone gathered, Jake looked around, the warmth of family enveloping him, each heart a beacon guiding him back towards understanding, towards healing. Let us share these stories, he declared, the fire in his throat igniting courage. Let us create a gathering where people can share their truths, just like Grandma wanted. Agnes's warm spirit seemed to fill the room. Each person nodded in agreement, the power of their shared mission tangling their hearts together. What a beautiful homage that would be, Evelyn added, clasping her hands together with joy. As they began planning, hope blossomed in a place that had once been filled with shadows. We'll honor her not just through pain but as a celebration of resilience, Jake said. We'll remind everyone that it's okay to be flawed, and that each tale has depth, just like her life. With every detail plotted, the atmosphere transformed, excitement intertwined with vulnerability. Together, they were unraveling the intricate tapestry of a life well lived, a legacy stitched with love, loss, and the power of truth. In that moment, Jake found the path. Not only to understanding his grandmother but to embracing his own story, woven into hers. They would carry forth the legacy of their past, letting love illuminate each shadow that had once dimmed the hearts of his family. Jake stood with the letters held tight against his chest, the warmth of the community affirming his purpose resonated deep within him. This is just the beginning, he said softly. The moment we truly embrace our past, we open ourselves to an extraordinary future. As they all exchanged smiles, the burden of life lifted just a little. Compassion filled their hearts, transforming lingering doubts and fears into the courage to celebrate together. From the depths of history, love flourished anew, inspiration surged, binding their hearts with freshly woven threads, a bond fortified by truth, resilience, and the power of storytelling. As they prepared for the new dawn of shared legacies ahead, an undeniable truth shone through. From the past, They would create not just a gathering but a movement of healing, forever carrying Agnes's spirit into tomorrow. And in that sacred moment, with hearts full of hope, they knew they were ready to embrace wherever the stories would lead them next. Now, we need you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and promote more heartwarming transformations. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Every voice counts. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to uplift others. This is the moment to show your support. Your actions create a community of love and understanding.